Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning. Welcome to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning, Saturday, February 6th. I'm Seth Merrow in the studio, joined as always via Zoom, Brian Nadeau from New Orleans. Do you say it like that? N apostrophe or New Orleans? Isn't that the way everybody says it down there? Brian Nadeau.
That's a hard no. I do not. How do I say it? New Orleans. Yeah, New Orleans. I say it rainy and cool right now. I don't know for a fact, but I can almost assure you we'll be off the turf today. Rains overnight. We got through turf yesterday, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was watching the beginning of the program, and the second race was on the turf, and as they were running, you could see it was starting to do something. I said, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed that it holds out for today, but you could see it starting to come down early in the program yesterday. Yeah,
it was a credit to our guys a lot higher up and smarter than me that made the decision to stay on the turf because, we had looked and thought for sure it wasn't going to happen. And sure enough, we were on turf all day, a firm turf course all day. But with that being said, I was woken up about 4:30 in the morning. It was raining pretty hard. It's raining now. So, with a big weekend coming up next weekend, I would think, there's no reason to get too crazy. And I would think at least today we're off the turf. Tomorrow looks a little more promising. We'll see what that brings about. But I would think if you're thinking fairgrounds today back home and across the country, I'd probably think off the turf today.
And just once again, talk a little bit about the big day next week. And I'm assuming PPs will be available sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we draw today. That's the cool part at Fairgrounds. We draw a week out. So Louisiana Derby preview day next Saturday, highlighted by the Grade 2 Risen Star, the Grade 2 Rachel Alexandra for 3-year-old fillies. 50-point winner races for the Derby and Oaks. We have 6 stakes, 4 of them graded. We're going to see Maxfield in the Grade 3 Mineshaft again. That's pretty cool as well. And the Risen Star is really shaping up to be a very, very nice race. Our top 3 finishers from the LeCompte are reportedly going to be back. Actually, top 4 finishers, I believe. And then new shooter, Senior Buscador, the Remington Park, the Springboard Mile winner at Remington Park, and a couple Salty Allowance winners that we had throughout the meet. So, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to next Saturday, Seth.
This Saturday, the Withers at Aqueduct. I'll hit on that a little bit later on. The Sam Davis down at Tampa on the 3-year-old scene. But let me get your thoughts from last week. Greatest Honor, Medina Spirit, Greatest Honor in Florida. To me, he looked good, but he's about the only one I want out of that race. I would give maybe a little bit of a pass to Prime Mover, the Pletcher horse. Steps into Stakes Company, tries 2 turns. It was an uninspiring third, though, but I could maybe give him a pass. But Greatest Honor, pretty much the only one I want out of that race. Medina Spirit, nice ding-dong battle down the stretch. Wouldn't let the other horses go by out in Southern California, which adds another bullet into the 3-year-old holster for Bob Baffert.
I couldn't agree with you more on Greatest Honor. I mean, I didn't like him at all. I thought he was taking all the worst of it. Short finish there in that mile in the 16th race. Now, with that being said, you are 100% right, Seth. No one else ran an inch in that race. The Pletcher hot shot that wasn't even favored on the morning line, that was 6-5, was terrible. I mean, he was a distant third, as you alluded to. So yes, Shug looks like he's got another nice 3-year-old. This one for Don Adam and his Cortland farm. Very, very impressive, and he should, in theory, only get better as the distances and he stretch out and he gets a little more maturity. And you're right with Medina Spirit. I mean, hey, boy, he ran hard on the lead. He had to do all the dirty work, and he fought them all off. So you're right. Bob Baffert, another impressive 3-year-old, and he'll run the greatest horse of in the history of the sport tomorrow, Bezos at Santa Anita too. So pretty exciting time for Bob Baffert,
Yeah, you say that with some sarcasm, and for folks who don't know, Bezos makes the Kentucky Derby Future Pool without a start, which was notable to begin with, and just a horse that has all kinds of buzz floating around.
Did you?
Being in the Baffert stable, and it's going to be very interested to see if he lives up to the hype.
Did you look at that race, Seth? Now, I don't know if there's going to be scratches. Baffert entered another one as well. If you look at that race tomorrow, I think it's the 5th race at Santa Anita. Don't quote me on that. But it's like, at least on paper, about the greatest 3-year-old maiden special weight you'll ever see. So if it stays intact, I'm sure he'll win by 4 lengths, but on paper, it looks like a phenomenal maiden special weight for 3-year-olds. So whoever are the also-rans, take note. I'm sure they probably are going places too.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a fun weekend on the 3-year-old scene. It's really pretty much every weekend is now. We're on the Derby Trail, and someplace has something going pretty much every weekend. And we'll certainly be talking your place next weekend with the Risen Star and whatnot. All right, let's jump in. Let's talk a little Gulfstream for this afternoon. Again, I'll have Aqueduct a little bit later on, but the opener at Gulfstream on this Saturday. Maiden 40 to 50 claimers, scheduled for 1.16 miles on the grass.
Tough race. The one sheet caught fire at Gulfstream last week, a 273 ROI for the entire week. So I'm trying to keep that going. I've been a little slow into stride in the first 3 racing days, but I'll update these on the website as well. 1-5, 2-10, 6. So you can tell it's that kind of opener at 12-10. Billy Yank down inside. First time Brad Cox from Catherine Day Phillips up at Woodbine. Save all the ground. A maiden special weight against Canadian Ontario breds. Drops in class. Billy Yank tough calling looks to me like a scramble. Now, Girl Dad for George Weaver, I would think, is going to take some beating. The maiden special weight drop here. Lasix goes on as well. Saez for Bravo. So there's a lot of positives off a big figure 4th last time, big figure for this group. And then back inside Public Information for Chad, the maiden special weight drop off a return at Gulfstream. Didn't do a lot of running, and now here he is in for a tag. That's not a great sign. 1-5-2, Indoctorate on the outside, Spheroid as well. Set the tough opener at Gulfstream.
Race number 2 on Saturday afternoon, $16,000 to $20,000 plain vanilla claimers. They will go the 1-turn mile.
1-3-5-2 Quate for Sano and Jose Ortiz. The class drop, second time Lasix. We can spy the speed here. I think the drop is very, very big. It'll be the first time he runs with Lasix, kind of with his friends. He was in over his head last time. Seth, Antonio Sano, how about this? Has started about the same amount of horses at Gulfstream as Todd Pletcher. I caught wind of that the other day, and it just blew me away. I said, holy cow, this guy's got a lot of horses. I had him on Saturdays at the spa a few years ago. A really, really nice guy, really, really nice connections. His sons are involved. So that was just surprising to me. He started so many horses down there. Number 3, one more time around for Bobby DeBona, a class drop, I think at least. State bred allowance races, state bred optional claimers, second off the claim. And then number 5, Uncaptured Soldier, is going to have some speed for Kelly Breen off the claim and Tyler Gaffney. And Kelly is 30% off the claim. Look for this one to possibly move up, although claiming and improving off Jorge Delgado. Easier said than done. 1-3 over the 5-2. Gulfstream race 2, early pick 4 time as well.
We get to conditional claimers in race number 3, 10 to 12, 5 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime the condition. Again, the 1-turn mile.
It's just 3-1. The 2 favorites look like they overwhelm this field. Noble Empire does take on winners for the first time for Todd, but he certainly looked good last time, finally breaking through at odds on. And I think being outside number 1 New York Style and being faster than New York Style early, I just think it gives him a little bit of an edge in what is a pretty kind of ho-hum early card kind of race. Just 3-1. New York Style's been doing 2 turns, was turf last time. 2 turns at GPW. He should have some foundation for this 1-turn mile. I just think Noble Empire a little more upside. Straight 3-1 Seth in race 3.
Let's move on to race number 4. Starter allowance at the $25,000 level. Unusual distance, or fairly unusual distance. 1 3/8 on the grass.
Yeah, this is a tough race. I've got it 3, 8, 11, 1124, and Mike Maker's got a few of them in here. I went with Imperial Mission. Now he went to Maker last time, and he was a good second going a mile. And we know how good Mike is at these elongated turf routes. And I think the fact that now Imperial Mission goes out to a mile and 3/16, as you mentioned, a little bit of a funky distance off that good two-turn mile race last time where he was second. I think that bodes well. He's tactical for Tyler Gaffalione. I put Imperial Mission on top. It's a scramble, though, Seth. It's a tough race. It's a spread race. Over the channel, drops in class. Blinkers go on. He's got some big figures. I think he's a major player. He won't be 8-1. But this is the type of race, I think the favorite is probably 4-1, 9-2. It's a great betting race. And Over the Channel fits nicely on paper. Fits as good as anyone on figures and does drop a little bit in class. I like him as well. This post is probably a little bit of an issue for number 11, Bourbon in May. Didn't break through in the 2X, 2-back. Tossed the dirt run last time. I think he's with friends here, but I just don't like this post at all. I don't like his speed either. From a wide draw, he might be even further back. Rajika is that horse. I don't know if you remember, Seth. They had him at 12-1 on the morning line last time, and it was just laughable. Right. I had him on top on the one sheet. He ended up going off at 3-1. You and I remember traded a text or two, laughing a little bit. He's a major player. I just worry about the cutback a little bit. And then number 4, there goes JoJo. Was behind Rajika last time. I think he's probably behind him again here. Tuffy set 3-8, 11-2-4. Gulfstream race 4.
Race number 5 on Saturday afternoon. Maiden claimers, $25,000 to $35,000 tags. 3/4 of a mile is the trip.
Well, there's just one over the 4-3. Augusta Melody. He'll probably be like 7-5 or so, but with Jose Ortiz on the class drop, getting back to dirt, getting back to one turn, blinkers on for some more early focus, and he just looks better. At least that dirt race looks better than a very compact field of 6 that is a lot of them going the wrong direction, I think, and most of them with very little to no upside. And Augusta Melody, first time on the dirt for Brian Lynch, second off the layoff, back to the main track, just looks better than this group at a very short number. Number 4, Magic Eclipse for Mike Lerman. I took a shot underneath with a price set. He didn't do any running at 42-1 on debut against the maiden special weight field, but he drops him in class. He lures Luis Saez. I think that bodes well. Maybe he offers a little value in the exacta. And then Liam's Boy for Timmy Hills. Getting back to the dirt, didn't fire on debut, but it was in a good special weight race at Gulfstream back in April. Drops in class. The layoff is a concern. It looks like Augusta Melody and everybody else said that it looks like Augusta Melody at a very, very short price. Don't get lured by this 5-2 morning line. If you're looking for a single, folks, to end the early pick 5 and early pick 4, Augusta Melody looks pretty good to me.
Let's wrap up the first segment at the halfway point on a 12-race card. Race 6, stakes action, the Swanee River, Grade 3 event, $100,000 up for grabs, 1 1/8 miles the distance on the grass. Brendan
Walsh is going to give us Maxfield here at Fairgrounds next Saturday, and he won a graded stakes on the turf last week at Gulfstream Park. I think he's probably going to do it again here. La Signere, just 3-2, Seth. I mean, you look at La Signere, you look at her figures, her buyers, her class. She just lays over this field. The layoff is slight concern, but the class relief she gets and the fact that she does get 1 1/8 miles. So it's not like she's coming back in a mile, which would be too sharp for her. I just think she's better than a very, very modest group here. Great Island is lightly raced for Chad. She might develop into a nice filly, but right now, a nice mare, excuse me. Right now, she's very slow on paper. You're going to get an underlaid price. You like to look at the buyer, Seth. I mean, she's got back-to-back 82s. It just can't compete with a horse like La Signere. Even if La Signere is not 100%, and I doubt she is, no reason that Brendan's got her that cranked up. I just think she's still too good for a group like this. It's just straight 3-2 to me, Seth. It's in the middle of the card. It's not in the early 5. It's not in the late 5, the rainbow if you're playing. So you can kind of get this one out of the way, take the chalk, to me at least, and move on. 3-2 for me.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll complete our look at Gulfstream, and then we will move on to Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Horses racing, people betting. It's been going on since before the Roman Empire. And the fastest horse is still the one that wins. Where there's gambling, there's cheating. That hasn't changed either. What has changed are the tools used to combat doping and cheaters. Today, professional horse racing operates under an aggressive anti-doping program, testing labs on par with the Olympics, and standards tougher than human sport. For 85 years, the Association of Racing Commissioners International has fought for safe horses and honest sport. ARCI standards form the basis for the rules of racing. Today, they call for a new expanded program to protect all horses, young and old. To join with them or learn more, visit arci.com.
OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB live through your Roku device or on Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Yeah, we're now available on Roku, so keep that in mind. I keep saying to people, if you know people who come in during Saratoga and like Capital OTB, and when they go home they think, boy, we'd love to have this at home. Tell them about the Roku channel now. Great way to watch Capital OTB from anywhere. So certainly keep that in mind. 7th race at Gulfstream. You talked about the Bezos maiden race out in Southern California tomorrow. But this is a nice loaded maiden special event at Gulfstream afternoon. Race number 7 kicks off the rainbow, say 6 furlongs for maiden specials. And on the outside, bears watching for Shug, a half to Code of Honor. But that's just one of a few in here you can point at as being horses maybe we'll watch going down the road.
Well, the weird thing about this race, Seth, is you're 100% right in that a lot of these horses cost a lot of money. And then you do a little digging. You see Collaborate for Safi, and Safi training for E5 and 3 Chimneys. Good for him. You look at I'll call him Dupois for Todd, and they paid $700. But the siblings of these horses haven't done anything. So I'm going to assume these are real lookers. But you look at a horse like Collaborate, 4th foal out of the dam. The other 3 haven't done a thing. You look at the 11, we'll call him Dupois, first foal out of the dam, but she's a half to 4 others that didn't do anything. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform. What I did go is I went with, I don't know if I'll call him the other Todd, but Democracy's got IRAD. So I think that's significant because Dupois has Luis Saez. And Democracy's a half to Into Mystic, who I know pretty well here at Fairgrounds because she's a Turf Stakes winner for Brendan Walsh. And she's a nice filly, now mare. So Democracy with some works at Palm Beach Downs for Todd. Irad is here. He's kind of now morphed into the go-to jockey for Todd. I put this one on top. It's 5, 4, 11, 10 to me, Seth. G-Bar, I thought ran pretty well to be second behind Candyman Rocket, who is one of the ones today in the Sam Davis at Tampa for Bill Mott, and he won with an 85 that day. He won by the length of the stretch. G-Bar took some money that day. They only paid, what is that, 65 for him. He ran very, very well for Juan Avila. I think with the experience edge, he can move forward. Dupois for Todd in the lows is a major player, I would think. They paid $700 for this one of Distorted Humor, but I mentioned not a lot of pedigree. Collaborate, favored on the morning line. No idea why. They did pay $600,000. He isn't into mischief, but it's Saffy's. I say only, but he's only 12% with first-time starters. Again, you dig into this one. Fourth full out of a dam. None of the others are producers. No pun intended, but Bears watching is exactly that, isn't he, Seth? Yes, he's a half the code of honor, but it's Shug. It's a Caracanti going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I mean, that's not exactly what this pedigree says he wants to do. And he's from the parking lot as well. I would be very surprised if Bears watching does a lot of running today. Not to say he can't morph into a nice horse down the line. He would be a big fade to me today, and he'll probably be an underlay as well with a little sketchy, sparse work tab. 5-4, 11-10 set in a race we probably could spend 10 more minutes on.
And you mentioned the G-Bar, the runner that finished behind Candyman Rocket. I like Candyman Rocket today at Tampa. And I will mention coming up on Racing Across America, we did some interviews yesterday, one of them with Riley Mott. So we're talking about some of the Mott runners. They also have Nova Rags in the Sam Davis. We talked about those two. And they were on a tear last week. We talked about some of their winners from the past week. Lake Avenue, I thought, looked good in the 4-year-old debut on Wednesday. Frank's Rocket won a stake at Oaklawn last Saturday. So we talked about those with Riley as well. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. 8th race at Gulfstream this afternoon. Optional claimer with the C condition. 6 furlongs is the distance.
This is my play of the day, Seth, and it's not only my play of the day, but it's very rare that I'm going to make an exacta, and I'm going to do it today at Gulfstream. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I make an exacta bet. 6-4 straight to the hoop. Joe DiBaggio's been in great form in his last 2 starts, really 3 starts. This field is loaded with speed that has a lot of question marks. He's tactical enough to sit just off of it. And like I said, he's in raging form. My play of the day, and I think with Verve is just going to follow him home for Larry Ravelli and Irad. And that's my play. 6-4 strong exacta, because this is a race flow play for me. I know 6 furlongs on the main track at Gulfstream, and I'm taking 2 stalker closers. That's a little dicey, a little dangerous. But, boy, I think this race just sets up for these 2 runners. Joe DiBaggio, if you're looking for an aggressive single in the late pick 5, in the Rainbow 6, he's it. And like I said, I'm going to follow him home with Verb. That's it. You look at the tabulator. You look at Positively Awesome, their speed with question marks. Down inside, Yolo Iehu. I mean, I think they're going. I think there's hitting in here. I think they fade late, and it just sets it up. 6-4, Seth, to me, straight to the hoop.
That's interesting. You're not an exacta play. We probably talked about it before, but what is your go-to? I've been an exacta guy for years, and over the past, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, I've tilted a little towards the picks. I like to pick 4s, and
that's all I do.
Jump into pick 5 a little bit too. So the pick is your play.
The pick play. 5 is all I really do now. It's very, very rarely do I make an inter-race bet. I'd rather take whatever bets I'm making and try for a big score as opposed to the churn that keeps me going day in and day out. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at these days. And the pick 5 with the lower takeout and things like that, I just think it's the best bet there is.
And we should mention, now that you brought it up, the pick 5 changed up a little bit this year down at the fairgrounds, if people aren't aware.
Yeah, it's exciting. We got rid of that black gold jackpot, and now we put in a traditional early and late pick 5. It's been very well received. And I will say this, in regards to next Saturday, Louisiana Derby Day preview, we haven't announced it yet. There'll likely be a guarantee. But on our big Saturdays, and we've had 3 of them already at the meet, the pick 5 has been in the $300,000 range. And I would think next Saturday will be even bigger. And the pick 4 has been right there as well. So those will be 2 huge days with big pools to get involved in. And they've paid very handsomely early and late as well.
Very good. All right, let's jump back in. Gulfstream's 9th race this afternoon. Optional claim or non-winners of 1 other than this kicks off at Gulfstream, a late pick 4, 5 furlongs on the turf.
12-9-1-3. I took a little shot with Coffee Bean getting back to the turf. 5 furlongs is snappy. There's no doubt about it, but there is a lot of speed here. He had trouble 2 back, so I think he'll be a little closer early on. Draw a line through the route 2-turn dirt race last time in the Sunshine's Classic. What a weird spot. He's back today where he should be, and I'm hoping he mows them all down in the lane at a nice price. Our Mercedes boy is going to be involved throughout. Georgina Baxter wins at a high percentage. Irad is here. Inside, Whiskey Sunrise. If Luis can get him to settle a little bit, and this post is problematic, he's a major player off the layoff, trying turf for the first time. Mike Yates is potent first out, so you would think, off an elongated layoff, he's just as good. And then number 3, the Virginian, is going to add some fuel to the fire too. First time Steve Caceres reaches for Tyler Gaffalione. I like that. But I'll try for a little price and a little bit off the pace, 12-9-1-3 in the late pick 4 time at Gulfstream.
Maiden specials face off in race 10 at Gulfstream. 3-year-olds going a mile.
6-2. 10-1-5. It's a tough race. These are 3-year-olds stretching out as opposed to earlier. Promise Keeper is interesting in that he didn't really do a lot of running on debut behind the aforementioned Candyman Rocket, but now he goes from 6 to 8 furlongs. Todd's second time out. He's a half to wicket awesome. We earned about $300,000. I would think he gets better. And I'm a little against some of these firsters, Seth. Talus down inside, probably the more highly regarded of the Pletcher runners. This is the first full out of a $648,000 dam. So I would think this horse has got some ability outside a little bit. Number 10, higher quality for Chad and Juddmonte. But this is the 5th full out of the dam. None of the others did any running at all. Down inside, Courageously for Cassie. First time dirt. 1 turn from 2 turns on the turf. I would think he should run pretty well. And then Dr. Roger at a price for Eddie K. was pretty good 4th on debut and then didn't fire last time, and I don't really know why. Now Lasix goes on. That should help. Maybe he bled a little bit. I don't know. He did stumble at the start. That could be a little bit why. It's a race, Seth, I think is a pretty wide open. I'm going to try for a little bit of a price, 6-2, 10-1-5.
All right, we move on to race number 11 and back to stakes action. It is the ladies' turf sprint. $100,000 up for grabs, and as the title indicates, for the gals, going 5 furlongs on the grass.
If number 8, Hear My Prayer, doesn't regress off the big figure stakes win last time, she's going to probably win this right back because she really looks like she's going places. The rest of these gals have, A, basically already hit their plateau and aren't getting better, and B, they're not even as good as that run anyway. So I have an 8-2-7. I think Hear My Prayer is going to be very, very tough. Wide draw, yes. Tactical enough to negate it. Irad is here. She looks like she's an exciting kind of newcomer in this division. Down inside, a bit of both is dangerous for Maker in the pink and yellow for Mike Dubb. A little bit of a layoff. Luis Saez will have to work out a trip here, but I think she's a major player too. And then Ladies Island, Seth, it's a turf sprint going 5. There's not a lot of speed in here. I know she's been doing it on the dirt, but if she clears off in her not her turf debut, but in her return to turf for Baxter and Jaramillo, she could get brave and she could wire this field. 5-2 is a little light though, trying, a game that the rest of these are very accustomed to. 8-2-7 to me, Seth, in the ladies turf sprint.
Oof, Ladies Island, one of those horses in the PPs it just kicks me in the rear end every time I see it, because I go back to that honorable miss up at Saratoga where the horse just missed. I was playing in a contest that day. That was going to complete a really nice double for me. All the way down the stretch, I thought, I've got it, and then just gets caught. So really, that's frustrating. And going back to the most recent win, though, down at Gulfstream, I believe Duke was in the winner's circle. Duke Matisse, this one owned by Rich Avil and the Matisse brothers. And I'm pretty sure Duke was, and Rich Avil were in the winner's circle that afternoon. So we'll have to look, see if the Matisse boys, one or the other, is down there this afternoon as well, if she manages to get it done. Which probably, she'll win out the rest of the career now after having lost that, missing for the contest.
Mr. Low Roller, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
you got to let some of these other people win these contests, Seth. You can't just win the low roller every week.
But this year was the high roller, so it was a little bit bigger money. And like I said, the whole way down the stretch, I was kind of like, not high. I would say this year is medium roller.
Medium roller.
It was
medium roller.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll wrap it up at Gulfstream on Saturday afternoon. Race number 12, bottom level conditional claimers, going 6 furlongs.
6'10", 4'7", Good luck in the finale. I just went outside the box. It's a bad, dumb morning line here. You're not going to get 20 to 1 on Miss Over There. But if she's half that price, that's fair. She's been facing way better on the turf for Michelle Neehee. Cuts back. Who in this race are you supposed to be scared of? Who is your morning line favorite here? I see 4 to 1 on Simple Story. And that's probably right. She's probably, 7 to 2 on Cookie Cove. Okay. And let's just quote she's a turf filly. Point being, you're allowed to think outside the box. There's no one here to be scared of. And Miss Over There on the cutback, trying dirt, hasn't run on dirt since a sloppy track race against better early in her career. I'll take a real stab for a barn I think does a very good job under the radar, Michelle Neehee. Number 10, Cookie Cove, I do think is a major player for Joe Orsino, but we're 1 for 16 with 6 seconds. I don't like that. Simple Story, I mentioned, certainly hits hard. You draw a line through the race last time when she lost her irons. The races 2, 3, and 4 back make her a big threat. Number 7, Dancing Destroyer. Number 3, Lalali. Seth, there's so many different ones you can use here. If nothing else, I'm getting a square price on Miss Over There, and it's a race where I think you want a price. In the nightcap at Gulfstream, 6'10", 4'7" for me.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention to New York. The Withers on the card, step on the Derby Trail down at Aqueduct. All of that and more right after this. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Come on!
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you. I got through 12 at Gulfstream. We haven't talked about it, Seth, but I'm sure everybody back home is in the loop. I'm sure you are as well. Mandatory pick 6 time at Santa Anita as well. They're projecting over $5 million in the pool, and kind of on a relatively ho-hum Saturday. I would think they'll blow past that. So folks back home, take note of that a little later this afternoon. Amp up your capital OTB accounts and fire on what's a pretty decent sequence, but a sequence that if you didn't look at it, that I don't think you need to spend $1,000 on either. So that's kind of exciting. There are horses that I think you can lean on. So check that out as well. But now it's Aqueduct time. Seth's got 9 of them to get through at Aqueduct. We've got a 1 o'clock first post because New York has to change posts every other day, I think, there. But it's
man, you nailed that. It is. You're absolutely right. There's like a 2-hour window where it's just like today over here.
What is it today? Well, today it's 1 o'clock. Okay, so take note of that. Maiden special weight for the state breds, 4 and up, a 1-turn mile.
5, 6, 1, and 3 for me. Clever Fellow on top for Chad Brown. Hasn't been seen in the better part of a year, and only 2 starts under the belt for a 5-year-old. But the second start of the career, awful long layoff, was good enough to get it done in here, and it is Chad Brown, and he can get him ready off a layoff. So there are question marks, yes, that are bound, but just on the connections. And again, that second career start off a layoff, I'll tilt in that direction. Jade's Dream in the second spot. The last 3 starts going from August to September to November were on the turf. They were all pretty good number-wise, but the first 3 starts were on the dirt, and, at least one of those was okay. So I think this horse will transfer okay over to the dirt. There's a question mark there as well, though. Merrow, the number 1 horse, also has kind of bounced between turf and dirt in the career, but there are dirt starts that are certainly good enough. I mean, there's nobody in here that jumps off the page other than if you believe in that second start from Chad Brown and think this horse will be okay off a long layoff, because I think that last start does have an edge on this bunch, which I think is going to cause this horse to be a short price. And I don't know whether I'd want too short of a price on a horse coming off that kind of a layoff and a 5-year-old with only 2 starts. So it's a little bit of a head scratcher to start the pick 5. You either lean on that if you have ideas later, or maybe play around and try to get some value, because I think the Chad Brown horse will take plenty of money in here. But I have it 5, 6, 1, and 3.
All right, it's early pick 4 time in race 2. It's a $16,000 2L claimer, 4 and up, 6 furlongs on the main track.
6, 2, 5, and 8. Number 1 Dylan on top. Claim 2 back. The first start off the claim for Robert Taras was a nice second place finish in a very similar event last time. I think off of that, the horse should be primed for a good effort this afternoon. Cahiba Ghost goes out for Wayne Potts, and if you've been watching Aqueduct at all over the past, month or so, you've seen these Wayne Potts horses. I'm kind of curious to learn more about it. Did he put an ad in the program up at Woodbine and said, hey, if you're going to take the winter off, send your horses down to me? Because he has horses for different owners, but a lot of them coming down from Woodbine, but they've been a complete mixed bag. Some of them don't seem to transfer at all to the dirt. This one, however, did. And given that start on the Woodbine to Aqueduct transfer, I'll put this horse in the mix, but it was kind of a come from the clouds run, and you're always up against it a little bit. But again, given that, as I say, it's been a mixed bag, and this one at least shown some ability on the move to the Aqueduct dirt. Cahiba Ghost in the mix and implied volatility. Boy, the last couple of starts weren't much. The starts before that were pretty good. They were on the turf. There are some dirt starts a little further down the page that I'm kind of hanging my hat on and hoping we can get to. And in fact, from the start 2 back to the start last time, there was some improvement. So maybe the horse is kind of moving in the right direction to regain some of that prior decent dirt form. I'll put that one in the hunt as well at a little bit of a morning line price that may hold up. In the second race at Aqueduct, 6, 2, 5, and 8.
Race 3, it's a $25,000 maiden claimer 3-year-old filly, 6 furlongs on the main track.
This was a funny race because every once in a while you run into these where, boy, you just look over and look over and look over and there's just no standout. It's a really evenly matched bunch with pros and equal number of pros and cons for kind of the entire field. I went 4, 6, 7, and 5. Cashmere Queen on top. The January 24th bullet workout kind of jumped out at me to say she's on her toes a little bit, has some early speed, hasn't quite lived up to that yet with the early speed proving to be fruitful when they get into the lane. A little lack of heart getting past late, but gets an extra dose of class relief for Tom Morley. But as I say, I like all that. Tom Morley, a little bit cool so far at the meet here. I think he maybe has a little more intriguing runners down at the fairgrounds this season, but been, as I say, a little cool at Aqueduct. So again, there are some things to like and some things that are kind of knocks on the horse. Magnificent Mags in the second spot. This is another one of those Wayne Potts horses. This one, however, came from Penn National to take on Aqueduct during the winter season. First start at Aqueduct was okay. The follow-up last time, not so much. But the follow-up last time was also she stepped in against the boys. So kind of moves back in perhaps to the comfort zone this afternoon. And Stone Harbor Blonde, another horse with some early speed that may prove to be an advantage with this bunch, particularly from the outside post position. But that speed was shown at Penn, Parks in the last couple of starts, so I'm not totally sure how this horse is going to class up with this bunch in New York this afternoon. As I say, I have a lack of confidence in this field just because I think they're kind of evenly matched, and I think you could point at 4 or 5 or 6 in here and have an equal level of confidence. But for me, 4, 6, 7, and 5.
Yeah, you're right. Tom did bring a relatively small string to fairgrounds this winter, but a lot of all turf horses, obviously, and they've running very, very well. So if you see him pop up in the entries, take note of that. The horses that are here.
Is he down there at all? Is he down there
I've seen him 3 or 4 times actually. Yeah,
because Maggie's still in New York this season.
It was funny too because the first time I saw him, it was probably early December, and I don't even know if Joe K was here yet. So I walked by him on the way to the paddock, and he looked at me and I looked at him kind of like to each other, kind of like, what the heck are you doing here? So it was pretty funny that 2 New York guys out of their element a little bit down in New Orleans. But yeah, he has been here. I've seen him many times, and it's good to see him as well, and the horses are running very well.
Speaking of that, you won't really be able to address it just because of the COVID situation, but I know when we go down to, and you're familiar with it too, being a Florida resident, you go over to Gulfstream, and we've been down on those trips over the past few years, Florida Derby weekend and Pegasus weekend, and we're constantly running into folks, hey, great to see you, and they're like snowbirds coming down from the Albany-Saratoga area, or they're just down for a big race. And I'd be curious to know in a normal year how often that happens down at fairgrounds.
Yeah, I mean, I was here last year. Me and my good buddy Brian, friends Jerry and Janet, came for the Risen Star weekend, and there were definitely people that you were like, oh, I know that person, that kind of thing. But you're right; it's a different era. Different year, I should say. I don't want to say era, different year. And it will be interesting to see when the world does open back up, how it is. But yeah, last year there were definitely some people here. And that was Risen Star weekend. It was cold as hell that weekend too. But maybe Derby weekend here, Louisiana Derby weekend, probably even more so. But, not necessarily the case this year, unfortunately. Now, race 4 back at Aqueduct here. It's a $50,000 claimer. It's a good race, Seth. 4 and up. And this is mandatory Empire 6 payout too. And I saw they extended that for February as well.
Yeah, people should keep that in mind. I've mentioned it during the week, but for folks who only tune in during the weekend, that mandatory every day is going to continue at least through February down in New York. You're right. This is a fun race. 5-1, 3 and 6 for me. Reed Kahn on top. Just seems in good form. Couple of wins in the last 3 starts. Now, 2 of those starts go back to July at Belmont and August at Saratoga. But the comeback, the seasonal debut, middle of January, was a nice win on the front end. So seems to have come back in very good form. Has had the better part of a month to come back from that effort on the comeback. And I think Reed Kahn looks kind of logical in that current form. Vici for Dave Donk. This one laid off from July until the middle of December. Now has had 2 starts back. Nice improvement, start 1 to start 2. And this is the 3rd start back, and that's always beneficial. Just behind Reed Kahn last time, so could be very dangerous this afternoon. And Linda Rice has sneakiness. Comes out of a starter allowance event where the horse just missed under the wire, but then was placed first through disqualification. Had won an conditional claimer just before that. I think is going to fit very nice with this bunch this afternoon. So for me, in the 4th, 5, 1, 3, and 6. And Brian, that'll bring us to another break. But I know you're going to cut out. You got to head over to the afternoon job, and certainly we'll be looking for you as always. Pregame, paddock, and whatnot during the afternoon at the fairgrounds. So for folks who aren't aware, you can also go to the fairgrounds website and pick up the press releases and whatnot, the follow-ups and the previews, and you and Joe do a great job doing that as well, providing that information also.
Yeah, Seth, I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. The racing has been very good, and we have a lot to look forward to. We're going to put out a story today about a very lightly raced up-and-coming horse that's going to run in the Risen Star, Obesos. And if you're not familiar with them, Tommy and Terry in West Point, I actually talked to Jeff Lifson and he gave me some great stuff. They bought into this horse. Greg Foley and Foley Racing trains and owns him. And they bought into him with another partner as well. And he's an exciting son of Orb that has won 2 straight at the meeting. And they're going to stretch him out next Saturday in the Risen Star. You watch his 2 races here at the meet. They've been dynamite. Greg Foley does a very good job in the Midwest. Churchill guy, and I talked to Jeff, and they were very excited. I sent Terry and Tommy a text. I said, "Hey guys, I'm looking to do a story," and they directed me to Jeff because he had the relationship with the Foleys, and so I'm going to put that together today. But go back and watch his replays or check him out. He's an exciting newcomer, and he's one of those ones that I mentioned, off the beaten path, the radar a little bit, that are going to run in the Risen Star. He's a serious horse, and our guys at West Point are involved with him, so that's kind of exciting too.
Always like to look for the yellow silks with the black star and root for our friends at West Point. So looking forward to that. We'll talk more next week on your big day. And again, with things being drawn today, people will have a nice head start with the PPs on Risen Star Day. So check that out. Brian, appreciate it. We'll let you go, and we'll take a break. When I come back, I will complete Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region, tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. That's next. The Handicappers report right now, however. And again, Racing Across America this morning, we'll be taking a close look at Tampa Bay Downs and their nice card. We'll have Ren Carruthers on. She, of course, does the pre-race commentary and analysis down in Tampa. We'll get some of her thoughts on the stakes action. And Riley Mott, assistant to his father, Bill Mott, and they have some nice runners at Tampa, including 2 live contenders in the Sam Davis. So that's coming up top of the hour, just a few minutes away. All right, but let's jump back in and take a look at Aqueduct for this Saturday afternoon. Kicking off the late pick 5 at Aqueduct, 5th race, $16,000 conditional claimers, going 6. I have a 3, 4, 8, and 5. Him She Kisses on top. Linda Rice making that move I liked. It's not quite as potent here, but if you watch enough, you know I like that state bred allowance into an open claimer move. Open conditional claimer, even better over the past few years. This one, like I say, isn't quite as potent because normally I like, you know, kind of a string of state bred allowance races underneath. This one doesn't have it. It's just that last race was a state bred allowance. 2 races back, though, state bred optional claimer. You're in the same kind of a thought process. So, and however, the race 2 back was also about a year ago. But the comeback on January 17th was good enough to think a little foundation. Now the nice class move that I like. We'll look for Him She Kisses to break through this afternoon at this 16 N2L level. Principal dancer in the second spot, Jim Bond trainee. And Jim Bond over the past, I was going to say a couple of days, but one of them may have been more like 3 days ago. One way or the other, he's had 2 nice winners at odds. I want to say 2 days ago or 3 days ago, there's a horse I believe called Somebody at about 8-1, and yesterday's the name is now escaping me, but won at about 5-1. So we may just be in one of those spots where the Jim Bond barn is heating up. So jump on the train and take advantage of that. But this one, 2 races back in a similar field, ran a good third. Last time, it ran fourth. It was a little bit more disappointing. But again, it's another one of those where you look at this particular field, I think Principal Dancer is going to be a good fit. Bulwark in the third spot. This horse did make that state bred allowance to open claimer move last time that I like, and did have a little string of those allowance races. The Rick Schosberg trainee, however, didn't quite live up to that class move, but now gets another step down the claiming ladder. So I'll put this one next and give it another chance. Again, kicking off the pick 5 today, Aqueduct, race number 5, 3, 4, 8, and 5. 6th race this afternoon, state bred maiden claimers going 6 and 4, 6, 3, and 1. Got the gold on top. Golden Sense, nice sire of win early type runners. Linda Ray's not maybe necessarily known for the first out type of runners, but a nice steady string of workouts. Not a particularly strong field, so I just thought I'd tilt in a little bit of a different direction. Again, given that what we've seen so far from the horses that have run isn't much, other than what's my category's last race, number 6. Carlos Martin training. Carlos Martin having a really good Aqueduct meet. But this horse dropped down to this level 2 back and has run a couple of good second place finishes. But last time, the buyer jumped up significantly and has a clear edge on this bunch. It's one of those where the 4 races prior weren't there. And so you're always left to kind of wonder, did this horse just kind of figure it out and has gotten good now? Or is that number a little bit of an aberration? So I took a little pop against with the first-time starter. But again, this horse runs back to that number. The number can even regress a little bit, still have pretty much of an edge on the runners in here who have started. Third spot, Devious Mo. Nice front-end try last time before fading. That was at a mile against Maiden Specials. First off the claim for Rudy Rodriguez. Now drops back into a claimer, cuts back to 6 furlongs. Second off the claim, off a race where the horse had shown some nice speed. Everything makes sense to put that one into the conversation as well. Race number 6 at Aqueduct, 4, 6, 3, and 1. 7th race this afternoon, state bred allowance, 7 furlongs to trip, 1A, 4, 2, and then the plain one. And I'm splitting up the ones just so if one or the other scratches, my affinity for the one is not for the entry necessarily as a whole. I have them split up in here, 1A, 4, 2, and the plain one. Doubling or nothing on top, some early speed. I'm going to draw a line through the last race and hope we can get closer to what we saw 2 and 3 starts back. Now, this horse is making the opposite of the class move I normally like. This one's going from the open conditional claimer into the state bred allowance, but there are a couple of state bred allowance races underneath on the page that are okay. They were at the Finger Lakes, so I could go either way with this one. It's just one of those races where I probably had similar pros and cons on a bunch of them, like a race earlier on the card. So I'll go with Dublin or Nothing on top. Maple Island in the second spot. Comes in from Parks. Comes in off a really nice front-end score last time at Parks, going 1.70 miles. Now cuts back to the 1 turn 7 furlongs. That could be beneficial. This horse makes sense, certainly. But again, I wasn't quite sure how the horse would class up exactly with these state bred allowance runners in New York coming over from Parks. Fair Lassie in the third spot. Good win last time in a state bred claimer. Now moves back up into a state bred allowance company. But typically this horse is in the mix and seems to be in some good form right now. Carl Broberg, trainee for owner Carl Broberg, claimed this horse back in November and has seemed to get this horse to improve in each start since. In the seventh at Aqueduct, 1A, 4, 2, and the plain 1. All right, a baby step on the Derby trail. Actually, maybe we're getting to like a full step. January is maybe baby steps. Now, in February, a little more along the Derby trail with the 3-year-olds in the Withers Grade 3 event. $250,000 up for grabs. 1.8 the trip. 5, 7, 3, and 9 for me. I'll put risk taking on top for Chad Brown and Klarovich. First couple starts of the career wasn't really living up to the purchase price of nearly $250,000 at Keeneland in September of 2019. Debuted sprinting in October at Belmont, then tried the yielding turf at Aqueduct. 7th place finish, a 6th place finish, but got back to the dirt at Aqueduct in the middle of December and stretched out to 1.1 miles last time and seemed to have figured it out. Appreciated the 2 turns, seemed to benefit perhaps from the experience. It's Chad, it's Klarovich. I'll look for this one to be prepared to step into stakes company this afternoon and run very well. Donegal Bay goes out for Todd Pletcher off a big win down at Gulfstream in a maiden special event. Has been working at Palm Beach Downs as recently as January 29th. Typically, I like Todd Pletcher in these early Derby Trail prep races around the country. I'm just not sure that is as potent for me on some of his horses moving from his Florida base to New York this time of year, but certainly Donegal Bay off the last race has to be considered. Capo King, a couple of wins, good second place finish, improving efforts in all 3 starts so far in the career, and the last win was the Jerome at right here at Aqueduct, going the 1 turn mile. Off of that, can't ignore this horse. Based down at Parks, nice little bullet workout in prep for this. I may regret having this horse down in the mix at this level, but I guess I was attracted to the more potent New York connections, and for me in the Withers, 5, 7, 3, and 9. 9th race this afternoon at Aqueduct, the 9th and final, $8,000 claimers, going 6.5. I have a 2, 3, 1, and 6. I put Earned Success on top. Dropped to this level last time. Kind of a disappointing 4th. But before that, we're looking at 1, 2, 3 wins in the 5 starts just prior to the last time. Also, that string includes a 2nd and a 3rd. So again, the last was a little bit of a disappointment given what we saw before. I'll look for this horse to rebound to a better performance this afternoon. Earned Success on top. O'Shea, Can You See? Linda Rice trainee, has not been seen since Saratoga. Might have a class edge on these if this horse comes back ready to run. That's going to be the question mark, though. The last start at Saratoga was a voided claim, has been off since then, comes back for a reduced rate. So there are question marks abounding. Calculated Thinking in the 3rd spot. There are races underneath that are good enough. Comes in from Penn National to face this company in New York. As I say, you got to go down the page a little bit because the last couple of races were not inspiring, but I'll put my trust in the connections that they're looking and saying, man, we can compete with these. And if this horse does get to what we see further down the page, should compete with this bunch. In the 9th at Aqueduct, 2, 3, 1, and 6. All right, that's going to wrap things up for the Handicappers report for this Saturday morning. Don't forget, you can always go to capitalotb.com, click on the Handicappers report link, and pull up a nice printable sheet with today's selections if you didn't get a chance to copy them down as the morning went along. I'm going to wrap it up for the Handicappers report, and we'll go to a break. We'll come back momentarily with Racing Across America for Saturday morning, looking at Saturday afternoon action and a really nice card at Tampa Bay Downs. Sam Davis highlights things, but there are some other stakes on the card as well, and we'll talk about that and much more when Racing Across America comes up, top of the hour. Stay tuned. Wrapping it up for the Handicappers report. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.